Hey, everybody. Welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McGellis. And before we get started on my little solo video, please like, subscribe, share, leave me a comment or a question. I've kind of switched it up. I was sitting in a hardback chair with the computer a little closer to me. Then I realized I really like being in my rocker. I'm off my rocker quite often because I'm such a hamster that sometimes has other people questioning as well as myself, girl, you are off your rocker, because I think way outside of the box since I was a kid. And I used to have to keep a lot of that to myself because it didn't make sense to what I want to call like the straight-laced family that I was raised in. And then in my 20s or my 30s, I still thought outside the box, but I had to sort of live close to that box to follow programs that were set before me. So I wasn't too far out there and excluded myself too terribly much from the daily grind of life. So anyway, I enjoy being in my rocking chair. So you can see it on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, you're just listening. So anyway, here we go. There hasn't been a whole lot of things to say. I've just been listening and learning how to play in the new energies that are displayed. Now, I just made that up. It just came through. It's just what happens when I'm alone, when I'm with people, or when I'm on camera. Just stuff just flows through. So this summer up to now, end of September, there just hasn't been a lot of videos that I have felt compelled, pushed, nudged by my higher self and team to even sit before this camera and start talking, because I've just been navigating my own way. And some will say, you're on the right path. Well, that path is what's created by me. I create the path. The path isn't there for me. Now, with that being said, it's there to help me calibrate, regulate, navigate all kinds of energies within my physical realm, my energetic realm that I don't see, so that I can fulfill my responsibilities of the day and still wind up kind of being like in that outer perimeters of even seeing a box. And the further I get away from that, actually the more comfortable I feel. And the closer I get to that box, the more straitjacket feeling it becomes to me. So I get a lot of messages, and most of them have been just for me. And some of them, it's been told, hey, quick, jot down a sentence. You may want to share it in the future. So as so many things are changing and many people are getting outside of the box or opening the box and seeing that there's an outside of the box, or actually crawling out of the box and getting a little bit of distance from that box and feeling like their wings can actually expand, their minds can expand, their DNA changes, and then how confining it is to be closer to that box. So it brought me to a lot of the realization and messages that many of us, we just learn through the preach and teach. And so as we are finding the void, the unknown path, we don't quite know how to create one. We're looking to see what everyone else is doing at the desk next to us, the people next door, some down the street, and I am speaking about social media as well. So when you're learning through the preach and teach, you're developing just another program. You're developing another program versus actually having experiences outside of programs that perhaps you're creating without being so caged in. And in those experiences, you actually feel the compassion, you feel the exhilaration, you may feel the pain, whatever it may be. And sometimes getting a release from that foothold that feels like cement in those programs can also make you feel like an outcast because others have a tendency to shame you, to ridicule you, to claim you're off your rocker and that you're just not on their normal path. And people also don't like it when someone else breaks free and creates their own. There is a form of resistance, jealousy that comes from that. So those types of frequency friends are the types that you'll just learn to separate yourself from. But experiencing the empathy, understanding a fuller grasp of the picture of life. Because truly awakening is when you open up that lid of that box called your life and you realize that there's more air, there's more space outside of what's confined you and restricted you. That life isn't quite what it is you know it to be. And now how do you find your way when there isn't quite a path there for you? And it is important for all of us to understand that that is what our purpose is here. It's our number one purpose, is to awaken to know that there is more. What that more is to you, you may not know. But are you willing to spark the courageous genes within you and step out of what you've been taught life is and create your own adventure and learn to explore? And the more you do that, I can promise you, the less you're going to worry about what anybody says or thinks of you, because there's an energetic click of coming into your own, because we are releasing old patterns. They are already happening between heaven and earth. That is already happening. And then anyone that's on the surface is eventually figuring that out, that you're no longer a puppet connected to other people's programming strings. And so you'll step back and you'll make changes for yourself that will only enhance your life, but it may be a solo path for a while as you learn to create new footsteps and to get your footings, your bearings, and your balance, and learn that you can have one foot in this physical world and have another foot in the metaphysical world, and coexist quite well. And that isn't going to change while you're in a physical human form. So those people that are all about this 5D and transformation and all that, it's really about an energetic change and learning to sort of be on two tight wires, and you're living different lives. And both of them are equally important to the safety and survival of the physical form that houses all the spiritual connections. So we have our basic sensories, but we're going to start exploring more into what I want to call the spiritual sensories. And then you'll become more of a spiritual adventurist warrior, so to speak, that you just kind of want to get out there and learn and feel your way through more. So one of the things that I've learned, through all of this, manifest, you got to do, and then it'll prepare. I look at it as, in your physical world, right? You go out and you pre-buy clothes for the next season or the season that's coming up so you have warm clothes. When the weather starts to change, you'll go and start to collect different foods that you will eat during that season. You will also get paychecks, and you'll set a little bit aside for an emergency fund or a savings fund or whatever you want to call it. You may go out when your tank is half low and fill it up. There's so many things that we do to forward prepare for ourselves. Maybe the night before we've meal prepped for a couple days so that we've got things readily available to us in case hiccups occur in our physical life. But there is something called the spiritual bank, and Spirit has shown me that. So in order to manifest, I need to become it now in all that it is, and then place it in little places way ahead of yourself. You're doing the breadcrumbs, you're doing, spiritual deposits. It's like the 401k for the future. It's sitting in one location, but you're adding to it to continue so that today is met by more as you move forward. So it grows like a spiritual bank. And it's a savings account for you to draw from, which some will say, oh, that's manifestation. But you see, you've had to pre-plan it. It doesn't just fall in your lap or happen to you. So it's something that you have to have in accordance with multiple different things that I'm hearing right now are way too much to put on this video. Okay? So anyway, I have no idea why my light keeps going off there. So I honestly look at myself as like, I'm an average human being having average experiences with what I want to call a higher state of awareness. So I'm an average person having a physical 3D life, and I'm having average experiences, and then I'm moving into higher awareness. And so those really are our first steps. And in that higher awareness, we realize that we are just so much more than what actually presents in our physical world. And so we want to reach for a lot of information, but sometimes that information is just another program and you can't unhear it. Because remember how I always talk about your conscious mind is like 10%, your subconscious mind is 90%. Your subconscious mind is the autopilot, it's what you live on. It's everything you stored in there that isn't in the conscious moment. And it's how we roll it out. And so what we're working on doing is flipping that, dumping all of that old information out that no longer serves, sometimes scraping the sides of that container and power washing it out, and then making the conscious be our primary. So that each moment we truly are in the now. We're not thinking about that back there or thinking about forward. And in those moments, you will learn to have rhythm within the frequency and then choose what frequency feels good to you. And again, this is all about our feelings, right? We're literally little antennas going out to sort of see about safety and where we want to go and do we want to take the next step. But if we're too busy getting showered with, a lot of bullshit that's out there, I'm telling you guys, take a freaking step back, because it's absolutely insane. So it's time to rise into clarity. It's time to rise into the realization that life is not exactly how it's been presented to the generations before you, and that we are here to make true changes. And so we got to dump a lot of that excess crapola. So we have one foot, in this world, one foot in another world, but when we gain clarity, we have zero threads in fear. So we release the threads of fear by taking one step at a time, tapping in, are we safe? Are we okay? Let's go ahead and take the next step. And next thing you know, you're further and further away from the box, right? You're further and further away from the box. The box represents too much to even go into here either. So let me see whatever else I made. I made a couple little notes here so that were out of my calendar, because when I'm driving and something comes through, it's like a quick sentence. And I'm like, okay. And I'll quickly put it in my calendar. And so I just went back, even just for the month of September. If I went back too far, it's just not relevant right now, because we need to be relevant in the energies, you know. And so the further that we're stepping out, we're learning how to work and operate this machinery. This machinery has circuitry boards that are connected to Mother Earth and Father Sky. And so we have to really pay attention to this apparatus. So it may be now that we change the way we eat, we're changing the way we think, we're changing it up in our houses, we're just making changes is what we're doing. And so we're getting our houses in order by doing all the things like learning how to operate this apparatus. So you may declutter your physical environment. So, and you know, the other thing is, I noticed that a lot of people over the decades, they want to go somewhere to collect information, collect a feeling, collect whatever story they need to collect to give themselves some accountability and a credibility, right? So a lot of people will flock to parties, churches, rallies, you know, and so on, because they go there because they'll say, I feel so good after I'm done, right? Some people overdo it at the gym too. I feel so good when I'm done. So lots of times you're feeling flatlined, and then you go and you absorb this energy, and then you accredit where you were to how you feel. And I would ask each and every one of you to take a moment and see if you can feel that way without having to go somewhere, because you're siphoning it from other people, right? You're gathering their loosh, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. The thing is, can you create it in your own universal space without having to go somewhere? Now, again, people will go somewhere and try to gather all this information, and then other people will go out, gather it, and it's overloaded them, and they have to come home, retreat, and try to regenerate and find some homeostasis, because it was just way too much. And we could so get into inverted extrovert, into all of this, but you all know who I'm talking about. Can you find equilibrium by yourself? Can you find it by yourself? Less is more. Can you find it with little going places and retreating? Can you go someplace and realize when you've gotten off balance and then get the hell out of there, right? So anyway, the point is, everyone's in search of looking at how someone else is doing it when they open the box and get out of the box. So don't overload yourself with all of the stimulating exchange. And it's not a fair exchange. If you yourself are not 100% in tune with who you are and where you are on that tightrope, you are literally being stimulated, and the exchange is very unequal and unfair. And if it's unequal and unfair to you, it is going to splash those in your vicinity. Okay? So the key here, again, I always say, stop, drop, sit, connect with that breath, align that nervous system, allow the messages to come in, allow your body to calibrate, allow the feelers to uncoil, allow the tasers to back up all the incoming overload on the physical sensories, which block all of the spiritual sensories. Get yourself in alignment and learn to be more quiet, and learn to become a more proficient listener of thyself first, before you think you can field and filter the outer world. Learn to feel and filter before going out into fields of the unknown, or even if they feel similar. Once you start kind of playing with this, you go into work differently. You'll interact differently with all persons, places, and things. You will feel more enlightened, right? You don't need to have all this logical ego trying to tell you what the right and wrong information is. Back the hell up from that. This is new information coming in, and there will be new sensories helping you to filter and translate that into information for you. So get into that solo space, get yourself comfortable, get in a rocker. Oh my gosh, I wish this one didn't squeak, but it does, just a little bit. But just get into a rocker and just allow the body to lull and tap into those feelings and ask the body, what does it need? What does it want? What does it desire? Those are 3 different things. And you'll go from basic to intermediate to getting it more advanced to tuning into mastery. And that, my friends, is an amazingly powerful postage stamp to stand in, because it's yours. So no matter what energetic tsunami or whatever storm or whatever overexcitement, you are not influenced or swayed. Your body will know how to calibrate, because this physical avatar houses everything you need to go to the outer layers. So the faster you get out of the box, and maybe you're going to take baby steps to get away from it. Maybe you're going to get far enough away, it becomes a blurrier vision because you're creating new programs for you. You're unloading the old programs and all that trauma, drama, ridiculous series that's been on a negative feedback loop, recycling within the subconscious that affects all your levels, will decrease, will eliminate, because you will let go, let God, for a lack of a better expression. Bless it, forgive it, love it for what it's taught you. Awaken to the fact that you're okay with nothing in there. And you would like to choose from the buffet of life on what it is that you feel revs your motor. They're saying that's enough. Spirit guide said, that's enough, Sandy. You did it. You put out a video. You haven't done one in a while. Nothing's rehearsed. I just make like 1 or 2 bullet points here, and the rest all comes from the flow of it. And I can't wait to hear all of your stories. I would love it if you'd comment and ask me a question. I'll do my very best to answer them, especially here on YouTube, where it's a little more readily available to me. But again, Sandra McGillis, keep it spiritually simple. So much love to each and every one of you. You've got this. If you need assistance, let me know. Either I can help you or I will get you to someone that can help you. But the biggest thing right now is stop, become aware that things are not as they present. Drop into that knowingness. Sit with it. Don't wait for those answers to come instantaneously just yet. Just sit with it. Connect with that breath repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly, and override that haywired nervous system. And then ask all the other essential systems within that all your DNA flows through to settle in to you, to the me, myself, and I of you, of who is all things source. Okay? Have a fantastic day. I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.